Hi, folks. This is Rick Doc Walker, the DOC.
This is John Kime, and you're listening to the Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted.
What's going on, Rally? How was your week, man?
Hey, man. I said it last week, and I'll say it again. The temperatures are getting warmer, and it just lets you know that football is right around the corner, and we got great news this past week. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more. What about you, man?
I'm good, man. Yeah, for those wondering, it's Wednesday the 7th. It's bosses are listening. It's way past work hours. So, all good. I'm about to go hit the pickleball courts after this because it is beautiful outside. I'm just staring out this window. I can actually see FedEx Field out my window, at least the roof of it. And it's just so nice outside right now. So I cannot wait to get out there, hit the courts up, and then just enjoy some of this nice weather. So it's been
Speaking of pickleball, I'll be hitting the courts on Saturday myself.
Nice. I was actually curious how all that's been going. We haven't had a pickleball update in a little bit.
Well, I had a little hip issue that I think I told you about, but went to the doctor, and the doctor gave me some meds, some pain meds, and so he's like, "Hey, you're getting older, young man. You got to take care of your body." So he gave me a couple of pills to take, and so it feels a lot better. And so I was like, "All right, let me go ahead and get out here and knock these younger guys down."
There you go. Yeah, so it drives some of the people crazy because when I get out there, I used to, when I first started playing, just jump out, not even worry about stretching.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'd feel horrible the next morning.
Yeah.
So now I'll stretch for at least 10, 15 minutes. And there are people like, "Hey, you ready to go?" Like, nah, I'm older than you guys. I got some salt and pepper going up here. It's going to take me a minute. So if you want to grab someone else, go for it. Or if not, you guys can warm up on the court and I'll see you in a minute. So I know it drives them crazy and it is what it is. But actually, I don't think we ever talked about it. I ended up competing in a tournament 2 weeks ago. And part of the bonus of it was I typically play with my boy Mike, he's not even 30 yet. So if you compete in a tournament, you have to play basically in the age bracket of the youngest person on the team. So when I would play with Mike, I would play with a bunch of younger kids. Well, Mike doesn't want to play in tournaments anymore. So I don't know if I stressed him out when we played or whatever. So I picked up my boy Will, and Will is 44, and I'm in my 40s. Don't want to get too many details. So we ended up playing in the 40 and older bracket. So the brackets actually get sent to you a couple days ahead of time. There was a guy that was 69 years old. There was a guy that was 73 years old, right?
Wow.
And then there were some other guys that were closer to our age. But in the beginning of the tournament, there's a director that goes over the rules. And then and I've played in a bunch of them. Then she goes into, if you need oxygen, there's a trainer over here and just all this other stuff. And I'm just like, what? She's got to be joking. But no, she was actually dead serious. And we ended up getting silver. We lost one match. So we played a bunch. We lost one, but we lost to the gold medal team. So that was kind of frustrating. But one of the matches, one of the guys basically looked like he needed some of that oxygen to come down and take care of his ass because we worked him pretty bad. And I mean, it wasn't fair. We were 30 years younger than they were. Maybe not exactly 30, but I kind of wish that there was like a cutoff. It was like, okay, like in the 40 to like 55 range, because it just wasn't fair to the other guys, but still had a good time. Got a $4 plastic silver medal to go with it.
Well, that's like me, clearly a novice, and I'm playing on the court that is open to all, freaking everybody that can play. And so I'm telling people, hey, look, if you want to go over there and play with those people who look better than me, going over there. And I think I told you that lady came out there and just totally pickled me. And I'm saying, I don't mind you doing that. I mean, but at the same time, you shouldn't feel good about yourself. And so, the competition to people, they're like, nah, I don't care. I got you. That's all that matters.
Yeah, no, it was one guy when we're walking on the street and back to our car, I didn't recognize him. He's like, "Man, if I was your age, I would have been whooping up on us too." It's a shame that it was fun. It was a good time. So it's like I didn't really post anything about getting the silver because it's like we did beat up on some old dudes. So
That
like,
were silver. Yeah.
yeah. So is it really a win or did we lose because it was a bunch of some old dudes and we ended up getting silver, second instead of first? But it was a good time, man. I had a blast. Got to play with my boy Will. Looking forward to playing
Cool.
in some more down the road.
Yeah.
But speaking of interactions on the street, we got a lot of interactions with last week's episode. If you guys haven't heard it, it's titled Personal Seat License. Go back, take a look at it. You can find it on YouTube, anywhere. You found this podcast, just go back to last week. And the name of it was Personal Seat License. And we wanted to talk about, what's coming to us fans and what's happening. And I'd want to say this is definitely a big topic for the fan base because we got the most interaction out of, we've done 168 episodes. This episode got the most interaction from any of the ones that we have done. And we wanted to talk about some of the comments you guys have made. A, appreciate you guys listening.
Definitely.
B, appreciate you guys chiming in because, it makes this and the work we put into this worth it. Right. And just going off of some of the comments, there are too many to go over. But right, this is one from Jason Ferris. Jason said, let's enjoy the next few years because all I see with this new stadium is huge personal seat licenses, more ticket price increases, nowhere to park tailgate, traffic. Never thought I'd say this, but I'm sure going to miss Landover, Maryland. You know the saying, all great things must come to an end. So, and they're not all negative. Right. Some of the comments, one person is, if we want a new stadium, we want something nice, then this is just the cost of it. Right. And some people chimed in and said, hey, it's hard to imagine, but I'll say I'm down in Georgia now and at UGA, there's no parking lot. 93,000 people suddenly come to Athens on weekends, huge tailgating scene. Tailgating happens all over every random open spot in the city, sometimes a mile or two away. I haven't been around RFK in a very long time, so I'm not sure if it's feasible in that area of DC compared to Athens. Not saying this is okay, but just wondering. And one guy chimed in and said, screw you guys for talking this into existence. And
wait a minute. Wait, the fact is, we aren't talking it into existence. It's happening. And
yeah.
It's happened at every other freaking stadium. And the thing is, before anybody they think about one way or the other, as I tell people, don't get mad at us for regurgitating the news. This is what's coming down the pipe. It just is. And we know that, hey, if you buy a Mercedes Benz, you're going to have freaking expensive service. It comes along with it. We know that when you get something new, it comes along with it. But the thing is, a lot of people didn't know, and a lot of people still don't know. They are just finding out, and they're saying, wait a minute, run it by me again, because they just don't know. So that's the thing. Our job, if you want to call it a job, our mission is to enlighten folks of the sports that they love, which is the Commanders/Redskins. Okay, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, we had a couple of people, they're new subscribers. One of them said, thank you so much. I just found this podcast. So glad I found it. I've been a season ticket holder for several years while living out of state. This is a huge topic for us. We've supported the team in their bad days. Hope we can agree on something that benefits both sides. Right. And like you said, a lot of people just didn't know this was a thing. I had family in town visiting this week, and I did an episode on Fox 5 called Take Two. So I'm on with them, and we start talking about a personal seat license. The other people on the show had no idea what in the world it was.
Mm-hmm.
And one person commented and said, why are you giving them ideas? And back to your point, we're not giving them ideas. This is something that has been happening for a long time now when, these owners are building a stadium, right? They institute these licenses. And I talked to my buddy Greg, who I think you might have met with a Big Blue crew up in New York. He's a huge Giants fan, right? When they got their new stadium, MetLife, his lower level seats, he had to pay, I think it was $5,000 a ticket for his seats. So it's just, I hate to say it, but we're just trying to educate people to let them know that, save money now. And the good news is I did see that ownership has seen our video, right? I'm not going to say how I saw that or what's going on, but I do know that they have seen it. And really part of this is to let them know that the fans are worried about this. And I know that they know that. I know they know we're concerned about what in the world's going to happen. But if we don't collectively voice our opinions, then it's 100% not going to be known to them how we feel, and we don't get a chance to affect it. And I'm not saying us talking about this on the podcast is going to make them change their minds, but the fact of the matter is we know that they're seeing it. And if you guys complain and voice your opinions to your reps, whoever it may be, or on social media, then that's going to help us out down the road as well.
The fact of the matter is this. I would rather know, and we talked about it, much more in advance than just hitting me over the head, which brings me right back to the point that I'm going to continue to make until they announce it. And I thought that the schedule for the international games would be out by now because there's a little bit of a lull in the NFL news, but it hasn't been put out. So we'll have to wait, obviously, until next week. But I would just ask from here on out, guys, international games, let us know earlier than later. That's all we ask. And now we can get back to our regularly scheduled program.
Yeah, it's super annoying. And Roger's in town. And he was, we'll talk about it here in a minute, but he's in town. He was just at the White House. He was meeting with DC council members to try and sway the vote for the stadium at RFK, because some of the council members are saying that this isn't a good deal for DC. And have you ever sold a house?
Yes.
So when I sold a house a long time ago, they actually told me to leave some things for the home inspector to find, like blatant things, like, the light cover isn't on a light switch or something like that, because someone's paying this home inspector to come up with something. And if he finds nothing, then they're going to dig even deeper to try and find something. So I almost feel that this deal that Bowser put in front of the city council, because the council has now seen two versions of the budget. And I almost feel that the deal itself, they left some bad things in so the council members could come back and say, hey, this isn't cool. I'm going to fight for this change. All the while knowing on the other end, Bowser and the Commanders were going to give that concession anyway. So just let them feel like they got one over on us and that they actually did their constituents a good thing. That to me is what it almost seems like.
I'd have to agree with you. I mean, you don't want them to be almost like it's perfect. Find the mistake, if you will, hint, hint, and let them fix it. But it's already been written in the back door that they didn't know about. Hey, speaking of the whole stadium aspect, did you see that rendering that I posted? And I said, hey, this is just a rendering, but look out for Ward 7 and the district because this thing is going to be so huge. I'm not sure if you saw it. That rendering was unbelievable, man.
I'm pulling it up now, and that thing does look badass. So it's so many things are coming out because I saw a rendering of the Commanders potentially putting out a second helmet or third helmet. No, actually, I think it'd be a second helmet for the black unis and this and that. I mean, the rendering is absolutely gorgeous, right? To see if they can pull this off. Who knows? I mean, it's going to be right there on the water. And the family I had come to town, like, oh, where's you guys' new stadium going to be? It's like, well, you drove past the old one, right? It's going to be right there in that exact same spot if all this goes through. So fingers crossed. And we just got a tweet. It was from Paulie0963. Hope this helps as a representation of the Bills PSLs to date. So this is color coded and it's from yards per pass. Another updated PSL map, courtesy of Michael Weingarten. And they've got different colors here of how much the Bills fans are paying for their PSLs. So I'm colorblind, Rally. this is going to give me a freaking headache, but I'm just looking in the end zone where you sit.
Okay. It looks like it's blue or purple.
So that looks like what? $5,500 a seat?
I can't see it's too
Yeah,
small for me, but
on the left. No worries. We'll put this up on the YouTube so you guys can catch it there, right? So you're looking at 50-yard line seats. Here are $15,000 a PSL, right? So there's just different pieces of this, and we're just going based on other teams, right? And I talked about how I was texting with some of the Chicago Bears fans, and they reached out to me. They're doing focus groups to try and gauge, what's going to happen. And I don't know, or I don't think we're going to get those focus groups, considering how bad the focus groups went last time. Ownership tried to do something. Granted, that was Snyder, and it was the focus groups about the team name. But changing the team name is about as popular as talking about PSLs in a new stadium. So who knows if they'll even waste their time with something like that.
there's one person though who says it should go back. Commander in Chief says it should go back. He feels it should be the old name. So, I don't know how much juice he really has to make that happen. But could you imagine, yeah, the Commander in Chief saying that no, you guys will change your name back, or else you won't get any funding or something like that? Could you imagine that?
So for the people wondering who Ryan's talking about, he's talking about President Trump, right? And a reporter a couple weeks ago asked Donald Trump, since RFK is coming back to DC, do you think the name should go back to Redskins? And this was actually a topic that we talked about when I was on Fox 5 with Elizabeth today. And if you go through the entire clip, he pretty much says, it's not equal to the Chiefs and the other ones. Mayor Bowser, and we're jumping ahead a little bit, Mayor Bowser and Roger Goodell and Josh Harris were at the White House earlier this week to announce that the NFL draft is coming to DC in 2027. And he actually used Commanders. And we're not going to get political here. I saw Robin and some other people comment about how they're not going to go with the draft to support it because of him. Whatever. You guys, however you vote, left, right, whatever, I don't care. That's up to you. Don't matter to me.
Not for this show.
Fact of the matter is, Goodell was there, Mayor Bowser was there, and Harris was there talking about the draft coming to DC, right? It had 600,000 people in Green Bay, estimated, in a city that has a 100,000 person population, right? In Detroit, which was a record, 725,000 people attended the draft in Detroit, you and I included.
Yeah.
Right? They are expecting over 1 million people to attend the draft in DC. Now, my guess is that is over the, Thursday, Friday, Saturday period, the 3-day period. So I'm just happy about it. But you talk about Commanders and the name, Josh Harris actually gave Donald Trump a Washington Commanders jersey and made a little pun talking about, the commander in chief and, the Commanders at that point. So I don't know. I was actually waiting for something else to come out of that, but we're beating a dead horse. It ain't changing. It ain't going back, regardless.
It's not going back. And I don't even think that even though he made that joke, or he said that it should be this, go back to the name. I don't believe it's going to happen. And so, like you said, we can move on from there. It's just a matter of the fact that they brought it up, and a lot of times everyone's waiting with bated breath to hear what he has to say. So he said it, but the owner says no, and like you said, we're going to keep it moving.
And I actually got a bunch of hate once again.
Again, God dang, brother, you should be tailgate hate Ted. My God,
man, it's just, I didn't even do anything. I posted the clip, and for people to comment on anything on Instagram, you got to follow me. So, I got tired of all the BS from all the Philly fans. Elizabeth, and he tagged me in hers. And there was a guy that said, I lost a ton of respect for Tailgate Ted after reading the clip. And my whole argument, which is the argument I've been going with this entire time about the name, right? And for those that haven't listened, if you're lucky enough to have a child, and let's just say it's a daughter, and you raise that child, you drop them off at, school for the first time, You go to, Grant Paulson just did his daddy-daughter dance with his kid, and so did JP Finley,
Yeah.
right? You are there for their college graduation, right? You end up walking them down the aisle when they get married, and they decide to change their last name. None of those memories you had with that child up until that point have been vanished and washed away. All those memories are there. For me, that is the exact same thing when it comes to our name change. All those games I watched with my dad sitting on the couch, the first game I ever went to at RFK with my pops, none of that goes away.
No.
And there are some people that just decide to chime in saying, oh, that's a stupid argument, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, tell me why. And I just don't reply back to the haters anymore. To me, it acknowledges them and it goes through. And I appreciate Elizabethany and Mike Plogger, the in-game host for the Caps and the Nats, who's a good friend as well, for standing up for me and defending me. And then they decide to chime in and say, oh, well, at least he'll always have the Hard Rock. And this wasn't Eagles fans saying this. This was Washington fans. And I'm not going to say Commanders fans. These were Redskins fans chiming in and saying that. So at that point, I just muted them. And then I did find out that you can actually mute words in your Instagram feed. So you just won't see it again.
Okay.
So I've muted a couple words. I'm not going to say what they are. But now I don't got to worry about the hate.
Learn something new every day, man.
So it's annoying, right? But what did you think when you saw, well, they did Josh Harris wrong. Did you see the microphone like covering up his entire face?
No, I didn't see that.
I really wish they would have adjusted that microphone. I mean, he looks like, and this is with all due respect, he just looks like a little kid at a podium, and the microphone is just basically up to his eyeballs. Because
he couldn't adjust it?
I don't know if he couldn't adjust it or he just didn't adjust it, but like Roger Goodell's pretty tall, Mayor Bowser's taller. He's the shortest one in the group.
Yeah.
And he just looked like a little kid standing at the podium.
Huh. You know what? I'll say this. He's spoken in public plenty of times. I've spoken public plenty of times. You have as well. There's something about the things that you would normally do in the course of a day that when the bright lights are on, and you're speaking publicly, a lot of that stuff goes out the window. You don't even notice it until somebody like you says, "Hey, man, did you see the microphone in his face?" Because that's not even where he's focused. You want to make sure that you're saying the right thing, that you're hitting all the cues, and you don't say "Happy Thanksgiving, everybody," that type of stuff. So,
well, did you watch Mayor Bowser and her speech that she gave for the stadium announcement?
See, I don't see that stuff. I hear it, but I don't see it.
So it was so just like cringe awkward because she's talking about welcome back to DC or welcome to DC, and she does a clap and then like a thumb snap. It was just so weird.
Thumb snap.
Yeah, I'll put it in the YouTube video. But she did like a clap and a snap. Like it's like almost she didn't know what she wanted to do because there were times during the presser when she would do little snaps because I guess it's a thing for, I know some people in sororities would snap and stuff like that. Instead of clapping.
Okay.
But she did both awkwardly at that point, and then she kept talking. It was just weird, but I don't know if you can see this. This is a picture of the microphone in front of Josh Harris. And you can't really see him at all because the microphone is just covering his entire face.
Yeah. Not that I even care one bit, but just remember this one. EGLE.
Oh, I remember. Trust me. I mean, that wasn't too long ago. And I didn't want to acknowledge these guys, but
hey, funny is funny, and it goes back to my point. We are all we've spoken in the public eye before, and when the bright lights get on, sometimes, hey man, you have those brain farts, and so it happens.
So there's a Eagles like sports blog, right? It's called Crossing Broad. And I get a text message from my tailgate crew. We got a little private text message between a couple of us inside there. And it goes into, they're sick and tired of the Commanders getting all this shine, blah, blah, blah. The draft is coming to DC. Guess what? They've got a Hard Rock Cafe in DC on East Street downtown. Let's go take that damn thing over. And it's just like, really? They're already planning in 2027 to take over the Hard Rock. I think it goes into let's rent out a room at the Hard Rock and then do this and that and screw Tailgate Ted and all this other stuff. And I can't find it now, but it cracks me up that they're still thinking about this entire thing,
Dude, let
right?
me tell you this. Let me tell you this, man. You you're not your team, but speaking of the Eagles fans, your team just won the Super Bowl. Commanders fans, you would be so far out of my mind.
Oh,
I'd still be celebrating that we won the Super Bowl, man. So it just goes to show you that the you live in infamy in their head,
oh
bro.
yeah, man. I want the schedule to come out so bad so I can just book the time off to make sure my ass is up there. And my ass is up there the night before. And I
Yeah.
was joking around with Jim Loke. He's anchor over at Fox 5. I can't remember what it was, but have you seen those? I think they're Ray-Ban glasses that has cameras built into them.
Yeah, the meta glasses, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, Jim, you gotta let me wear these. Fox 5 can have all the footage, but when my ass goes up there and I'm wearing my Hard Rock Ted shirt and it's number 55 on the front and 23 on the back, right? Then we'll kind of see what happens. But it still cracks me up because this is an excerpt from the article. Here's the other thing. Are you getting sick of the Washington Commanders love fest? I am. They're getting all this publicity and praise for simply not being terrible, for finding a franchise quarterback after 30 years of stinking up the NFC East. Oh boy, they had a good season for the first time since the first George Bush was in office. Josh Harris hired some people who aren't idiots. They're replacing their crappy husk of a stadium with something modern, right? And like you said, you guys just won the Super Bowl to even care about us. And I get it. It's a dead time right now. There's not a ton to talk about. Everyone's waiting for next week when the schedule comes out. And we can all start doing predictions and see what's going to happen and how many primetime games and how many SB events trips we're supposed to book. And oh, by the way, 8 of them for all the away games. But it cracks me up, right? But now to start getting that from Washington fans, that part does annoy me a little bit.
Yeah, we're supposed to be on the same team, man.
We
And
ain't.
yeah, obviously we aren't, and it's terrible. You think we'd all could come together, and I have to tell you something that I heard offline, but amongst our fan base, we're some bickering people, man, and I don't understand it. I mean, I get it. Everybody has their opinion. Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody has one, unless you got a colostomy bag. But even still, we gotta be able to work together with everybody, man. Burgundy and gold until they were dead and cold. That's just how it should be. All right. So anyway, let's move on to the next topic, bro. And the next topic is
Well,
the
actually,
NFL.
yeah, the
Go ahead.
draft. I
The
wanted to
draft.
hear your thoughts about that coming to town
And
and when they
and
made the announcement.
so I gotta tell you, I was excited about that. Um, we knew based upon a previous conversation, I forgot we were at some game and they were talking about it and said that the Commanders that they couldn't. If you remember, they said they couldn't. I think it was the mall said that they couldn't project events that far in advance because there needed to be a permit or something. Do you remember that?
It was
It was
permits, it was doing alcohol on the mall and stuff like that you just cannot do. Right.
right, and so they were like, "There's no way that'll happen." And I said to myself, and I think I even brought it up on the pod. I said, "Man, the way that they're talking about this is going to happen." And I was very excited about it. And somebody um, asked Muriel Bowser, the mayor of DC, well, for 1 million people, are you going to have enough police? And I think a lot of people forget that in 2003, 2003, we had NFL opening night on the mall.
Yeah, we had a
And,
kickoff on
and
Thursday night.
yeah, kickoff. And we had about, I'd say, 350,000 people. Now, granted, it's not 1 million, but where I'm going with that is they asked what would be enough law enforcement. And for those who don't know, what happens is because DC is federally funded, the the U.S. Marshal can deputize outside police agencies to come in and help DC Park Police, Secret Service, and everybody else. So basically, what happens is those guys will from out of state, meaning Virginia, Maryland, can come in, raise the right hand in a large group, and you'll be deputized for that those 3 days, if you will, if you or how many days that they need you to be down there, starting at XYZ time, ending at XYZ what time. So your powers would start and they would end. So there's going to be plenty of law enforcement. So you guys won't have to worry about that. But
Yeah.
I was very excited because this is something that the city needs. The whole area needs it. It's no different than when the new stadium is built and several years later we host the Super Bowl. You know, we've hosted things before. We hosted it at an All-Star basketball game here in 2004, I think it was, or 2005,
Yeah,
something like
I
that.
remember being there for it. You know,
Yes, I
well,
mean,
back at MCI
yeah,
Center back then.
it was right, the old MCI Center, and things went out without a hitch. I mean, granted, you're gonna have your little petty crime or whatever have you that's still going on regardless, but everything else went without a hitch, and it was a great time. The city was basically put on the big screen, and this is going to be no different. And I look forward to it because now I won't have to drive anywhere
Or fly.
or fly
Yeah.
anywhere
You
because
didn't drive to Detroit. That would have been
no,
taken
but
a while.
I will be driving to Pittsburgh though, so I'm ready for that for next year. So I can't wait. So I look forward to that.
Yeah, part of me wants to go to Pittsburgh next year, but I've also been to Pittsburgh a bunch, and I don't know. But then again, I feel because the people in our inner circle, it's always the same people. I'm not
Yeah,
knocking them, right? So I don't want to miss out on 2027 inner circle because I didn't do 2026 inner circle, if you see what I'm saying.
I got you.
So, because got asked to go this year, but I didn't want to go to Green Bay. I love
No,
cheese curds, but I just had no desire to go to Green Bay, thinking we're not going to pick and what's going on. So I decided not to. But I'm not going to lie, I did put a request in for 2027. We'll see if that person is still with the organization or how they're going to do it. Or, I mean, there are times when I've asked for field passes and I've been told that there are a lot of requests from ownership because there are 15 different owners. So there's not a lot of field passes. My guess is ownership and all those requests aren't going to be in the inner circle because that's reserved for fans, right? That's usually your diehard, most boisterous fans that they want on camera representing you when your pick happens.
I don't
So
remember. I don't remember, but if you're the hosting city, do you get more seats?
historically, you have gotten a bigger inner circle
Okay.
because I remember in Detroit, a bunch of them are friends of mine from the PFUFA. They had way more people than we had, just from a section
Yeah.
perspective.
Gotcha.
So you would
And I would
think,
think that you would pay. I would think that you'd pay homage to your fans at home and give them, instead of hypothetically 20 seats, you give them maybe 40, 30 or 40.
so yeah, I think so too. And this was a topic on B Mitch and Finley, and I kind of changing my opinion on what I originally thought. So want to ask you, knowing that we're getting the draft in 27
Mhm.
and the Super Bowl should be coming, assuming all of this gets approved in regards to the stadium and the stadium's happening. If you could only choose one event, which one would you prefer to go to? The
If
draft or the Super Bowl?
if the Commanders are in the Super Bowl
They're
without,
not in the Super Bowl. Let's just say it's a Super Bowl.
then I'll take the draft.
I agree with you, right? And I mean, if the Commanders are in the Super Bowl, you and I are finding a way to be there. You know, I mentioned last pod, I might have to sell a kidney to pay for my PSL, right? You know, I only got one of those. So if I already said that if I had to sell that for my PSL, I won't have another one to sell. So I got to come up with another way to pay for the Super Bowl ticket. But to me, the Super Bowl, it'll be cold in February here. So outdoors won't be as nice. But the draft in April downtown could have some nice weather, all the different stuff surrounding it. I mean, you were in Detroit, we were there, just seeing all the cool different things out there. I'm kind of excited to see what they would do, you know, because when is cherry blossoms? Wouldn't that be around roughly the same time frame that the draft is?
Give
I
or take
mean,
a couple weeks, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, just talk about the mess traffic wise and people wise in the city. But I think I'd actually be more excited for the draft because it's a multi-day thing than going to the Super Bowl experience. Because how much of an experience is it going to be? You can't really build permanent structures downtown. I feel like it's just going to be kind of cold too. And
Hmm.
if our team's not in it, I'm saying I'm not going to the Super Bowl. I'm waiting to go for my first one when we're actually going to be in it. But that's just me.
I got you. Well, for me, I wanted to. I have been to a Super Bowl. I wanted to go to the 50th, and I said I don't care who's in it. It's the 50th Super Bowl, and I'm going to be there. Like the 75th, if I'm still on this earth, I'm going to go to the 75th, regardless of who's in it. That's just my personal thing that I wanted to do. Um, and what I liked, Ted, is I enjoyed seeing how Detroit transformed their city
Yeah.
to be able to host everyone and how they block the streets off to get you. Hey, they had it very well laid out. If you're inner circle, you go this way. If you're general population, you go this way. I want to be able to see how the coordinators put it together. And I loved how Detroit did it because that was my first draft I'd ever gone to. And so I was like a kid in a candy store. I was pretty much mesmerized and you could in full tourist mode,
Oh
you
yeah. I
know.
mean, you had your GoPro on your shoulder, walking around, catching footage, and I don't think I ever
Yeah.
saw the footage of that. How'd that come out?
You know what? I some of it came out good. And then what I need to do is I need to get a remote to know when I've turned it on
Gotcha.
and not turned it on because you hear like the double beep and sometimes I'd be so caught up to where I said, did it beep once or did it beep twice? I don't know. And so there are a lot of things that I missed.
We'll talk about that offline because I think I got a solution for you in regards to that. But I'm right there with you because when we went back to Detroit for the NFC divisional game, right, I walked around town to enjoy my victory cigar. And it's what, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm walking around Detroit 2 o'clock in the morning, just smoking my cigar. I'm like, damn, that's where the stage was. And it's just completely
Hmm.
gone, right?
Yeah.
It's just a big, massive, empty lot. And that's where this was. And that's where this was, right? So it was kind of cool. And it'd be awesome to see, the city transform. They're talking about, and kudos to the Washington Post for doing this. The Washington Post put in a FOIA request, so a Freedom of Information Act request to the National Park Service is how they broke the story and got this information. And there was something called Project Breeze, which was the code name for the draft coming to DC and the
Hmm.
layout for it. So that's how they deciphered all this stuff. And there's an article from Nikki Javala in the Washington Post kind of talking about it. So they're saying that the stage would be more so down by the National Art Gallery and not on the mall itself. Aspects of the draft would be on the mall, but this is all in the Project Breeze layout. It's all subject to change by 2027, depending on, what they end up making the final layout be. So I thought that that was kind of a miss to not have like the Lincoln Memorial in the background because there is an underground spot in the Lincoln Memorial for those that aren't from the city or don't know. It's like an underground, like vault type space, if you will, where you can actually tour and get tickets to. To me, to make that the green room for the players and have them come out
We're
and
on the same
walk down the
page.
steps of the Lincoln Memorial, that'd be
Yeah.
freaking iconic. Man, that'd just be so
And
badass.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I mean, everyone has pretty much given a speech from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, and then you've got the background, like you said, the Capitol, the monument. I mean, everything down there. Now, one of the things that they said would which before they had all this stuff was with the World War II memorial would stop people, from being able to see things. But what I remember is like I came I when they had the different uh parades or they had the different things on the mall, they put up these huge
Massive screens.
screens. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was at the Million Man March, and they had massive screens. President Obama's inauguration, they had those huge screens up there. That was like the largest inauguration that I've ever participated in. And I actually had to work that thing. It was the coldest one in my life that I ever had to work, but it still makes me cold thinking about it. But they had these huge screens, and so uh, just think from people from the Lincoln Memorial all the way up to like the Capitol. Can you imagine this? The mall just being like the Fourth of July when they
Yeah.
have the Fourth of July on the mall, man, that from the Lincoln Memorial all the way down to the Capitol, it's just wall to wall people. That's what I foresee, and we take care of the crowd then, and we'll take care of the crowd with this draft that comes in 2027, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, DC's built to be able to host something like this. We've got the infrastructure, we've got the
Hmm.
metro, right? We've got all the surrounding areas. People are going to be staying in Bethesda, they'll be staying in Arlington, they'll be staying
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Woodbridge coming up. I mean, just all over the place to get here. So book your hotels now, if you want to come out here for the draft, because it's going to be a fun time. And I was blessed to be able to be on the press stage for the Capitals parade when we won. So I was on there with Fox 5 and I got to talk during the Caps parade and just cover it for Fox. And I mean, that was a blast. And my friends, a bunch of the crew members were actually out on the mall, sitting out there, and they had a walkway that was maybe 3 people wide. And that was for like emergency services in case they ever had to get someone out of that sea of people and that mass of
Hmm.
people. Then you could go through and jump over that wall and go down that walkway. I mean, we could host this no problem. I've got no worries about it. And I'm just excited about all the revenue that's going to come to not just DC, but the surrounding area. It's There's no downside to this at all. And I was shocked that there are people complaining about it because of traffic. Guess what's probably going to happen? Your job is probably going to let you work from home, right? Let's just be realistic about it. I doubt they're going to have you go into the office that week because all the roads are going to be shut down. It's going to be a mess. They're not going to want to go in either, right? I'm not going to mention where Mrs. Tailgate works, but historically, she's by the World Bank. When they have their massive conference, they'd get to work from home. So, if anything, if you're pissed off about the traffic, be happy about it because you might get to work from home and not actually have to go in the office that week or whenever they're setting all this stuff up. And I see it's a win-win and it's going to be a damn good time.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
So, speaking of damn good time, did you actually watch our first round selection of the draft?
I did not. I was in bed.
So I don't feel so bad because I didn't watch it either because it was, I want to say 10:30, and I'm thinking we're going to trade out of this thing. I waited to see if Shador went to the Steelers, and he didn't. And I was just shocked when I woke up the next morning and we didn't trade out of the pick. Well, some might say we're not diehard fans or whatever else. To me, I didn't care because we're going to get who we get. And there wasn't a big draft party going on. I was just shocked why we didn't trade out. And this is actually what this is what Adam Peters had to say about why they didn't trade back out of that first round pick.
Adam, you had talked about the possibility of trading back when Conerly was there at 29. Were you still taking calls? Was that still a discussion?
Yeah, we got a ton of calls. Excuse me, when we were on the clock. We got calls throughout the week, just preliminary calls like we talked about earlier in the week in our presser. And then we got a ton of calls leading up to that. And what we had discussed beforehand is really if he was on the board, we weren't going to trade back. And so there's an opportunity to trade back with a few other teams. It wasn't very far, but in our minds it was not worth even risking missing on him.
So I was surprised that we took a left tackle because I did not, well, just a tackle in general, did not see that coming.
Hmm.
But I'm happy that they had a plan and they stuck with it and they didn't let outside noise really change what they wanted to do. Right? We only got 5 picks. I'm hoping in 2027 we have the 32nd pick, which means we won the Super Bowl in 26 and we're picking late and we just go from there. I also am hoping that, we have more than like 1 first round pick and a second round pick if we're there and we're lucky enough to be in the inner circle because it'll just be more time focused on us in general as a team. But what did you think when you woke up that next morning and you saw who we took and you saw that we didn't move back?
I said, oh, Okay, well, who is this kid? Let me do my YouTube research and find out what he's all about. And I was actually surprised. And once I saw his stuff on YouTube, I said, okay, I'm not mad at that. And as you said, for once, we aren't allowing anyone to manipulate us into doing what we don't want to do. True adult stuff right there, man. Finally, you know, the owner isn't coming in saying, "No, I want that guy, so change everything up and make it happen." No, he hired
Yeah.
people who he trusts to make the right decisions, and all you are hearing are glowing reports, excuse me, of what we did, how we did it, why we did it. So I I can't go wrong.
Yeah. Conerly only allowed 2 sacks his entire college career. Right. So they're obviously investing in Jaden, in protecting him, bringing in
Yeah.
Tunsil, bringing in Conerly, doing what they got to do. And I'm excited. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm hearing Trey Amos is going to be a stud. He's going to be a rock star. We got him for an amazing value. The other 3 guys we got, a wide receiver, Jalen Lane, Kane, Madrano, and then a linebacker, and Chikori Krosky Merritt. I'm probably butchering his name with the 245th pick. I am a little bummed because I did try and see if they're going to have passes for rookie minicamp for fans. I got the Heisman on that. So I don't know if we just don't qualify or if they're not doing it. It would have been nice to go out there and see that because I know a lot of fans are talking about the fact that Gabe Taylor is coming to camp, right? For those that don't know, they extend invites out to a bunch of other rookies and that just weren't drafted because
Mm.
it's rookie minicamp. You have to have enough people out there to run drills and do different stuff. You don't have enough people, then you can't actually run practice, which we have had in the past during regular season, just actual practice in general, because too many guys were banged up. So it'll be cool to see Sean's little brother in burgundy and gold and see how it goes. I'm not holding out a ton of hope. He wasn't offered a contract. He's just coming out to do this. But what did you think when you saw that? Probably like on Instagram or X or something.
Well, I've talked to him on the sidelines several games, and he's always said that it'll be a honor to play for the team that his brother played for, and to hear that, hey, give the kid a shot. You never know. He could impress. You just never know. So obviously he played college ball. It's not like he played only high school and is asking to try to step up and play pro. No, he played pretty solidly in college, and so give him an opportunity. You never know. Like people say, all they can say is no. After some blood, sweat, and tears, a good little workout. So hey, I'm more power to him. And going back to something that you said real quick though, I think last year was the first year that they didn't have allow fans to see the rookie camp, and because we were there 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and I just wonder, you know, if it helps the team, I will say I'm all for it.
So you remember last year's excuse though? It's because
I
they were doing
don't.
all the construction.
Okay, you're right. They did say that because of the construction. Well, that's completed now, if I'm not
Oh yeah,
mistaken.
it's done. Construction's done.
So
You don't got to worry about that anymore.
so obviously we don't fit the bill.
And maybe no one's going except media, and I get it.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice. And if any of our listeners are going out there, shoot us a picture. Let us know how you guys qualified. We ain't going to blow up your spot. Just kind of curious to see how
No.
that goes. Because,
Yeah.
they gave it as a perk in the past for OTAs, right? If
Yeah.
you're part of a season ticket holder group, do this. And reminds me, I got to tell you about an event I'm going to, a night with the legends coming up. Wasn't sure if you got that invite, depending on which group you're in. But I wish all those, young men good luck at training, or not training camp, at mini camp. And I
Mhm.
can't wait to hear how it goes, whether it's Conerly or Gabe Taylor or Trey Amos, because I just one step closer. You talked about the weather being here, which means we're closer to football season. To me, seeing the guys put pads on and being back in the facility, whether they're rookies or our vets, it just gets me even more excited, man.
Oh yeah, because we've got some unfinished business.
Amen.
Definitely, yeah, unfinished business, and I think that we are continually moving in the right direction to bring that Lombardi back to the DMV, and I can't wait. And also, well, I hear it. I hear it. The music playing in the background lets me know that we are bringing this show to an end. Thank you guys for riding with us. I still have hope that they will announce the overseas game before they give us the regular season games, even if it's just a couple of days.
At this point, man, I mean, I'm not putting money on it, especially after I lost all my money last night at the Caps game. But yeah.
Ooh, not good, not good. That'll be for another time. But thank you guys for riding with us. Thank you guys for giving us the feedback, and obviously we are here for you. So if you got questions on any topic of football, hey, bring them to us. We love to discuss it and give our take, because that's what the DMV Mess Hall is all about. Remember, guys, you rep it hard, or you don't rep it at all. Rally Captain, Tailgate Ted. We will see you next week. Peace.